All right. Hi, guys. My name is Dhananjay. Firstly, good evening. Thank you for joining in at 7:30 on a Friday night. I really appreciate it, and I'm going to make it worth your while as well. So, let me take you through why we're doing this session and what's going to be the overall theme across the entire session. So, as you start preparing for your GMAT, most of you who have joined the session are probably at the beginning of preparing for their GMAT. You need to understand that it's very, very crucial to know where you are at and accept where you are before you can actually head out and get your 700 plus score, right? I think a lot of us, including me, we have difficulty in accepting our strengths and weaknesses. This session is all about acceptance and not just accepting your scores or your abilities, but really accepting the e-GMAT way of learning, right? And I think that's very, very key because you have to unlearn what you know and then learn again. So I think that's key here. All right, so this is all about the session. Let's talk about me a little bit. I don't know if you've gotten an email from me as yet, but I work with the strategy team here at e-GMAT. I've scored 700 on the GMAT myself with a Q51. And I have a really disappointing verbal score. But yeah, that's about me. Before I go to the next slide, I just want to run a interesting little poll. So just give me a second. Let me launch it. Yeah. So I want you to know. I just want to understand how many of you have heard from us before. So just let me know if you've heard from Arshit, Ashutosh, me, Deepak, Nava, because these are the people that you really would hear from. So I have two responses for Arshit, some for TJ, that's me. Yeah, we have 12 people here. Would expect a little more response from you guys. We have four responses here. Okay, so I guess the rest of you haven't really received any emails. All right, so let me share the results here. So the reason why I'm sharing this is basically to take you through the team. So let me just give you a quick introduction to the team here, and then we'll get into the presentation. We're going to keep it short and sweet. Arshit is one of the most tenured employees here at e-GMAT. He knows the ins and outs of the product and the latest feature that you see in Scholaranium, and probably try to talk a little bit about it, is all courtesy Sir Arshit. Now let's talk about Ashutosh. If you ever want your account analyzed from a very, very critical data standpoint, he's the man for it. He basically functions in and out of data, and so Ashutosh himself functions on data because he is a quant whiz and has aced way too many exams, right? Deepak has an interesting background. He's already a B school grad. He's from IIM Ahmedabad, and as you know, that's pedigree in itself. There's no introduction needed for that, and I'm sure that you've heard from him. There's me, and then there's Nawa. So Nawa brings a host of experience in a customer-facing role where he's really understood the pain points of customers. And I'm sure you would have heard from Nawa at some point because he really spends a lot of time, writing emails to all of you and supporting you guys. Got it. So this is the strategy team, and we are here to help you, and we are here to really help you succeed, and not just succeed, but even beyond that, we really here to help you understand the right way to learn, more than just succeed. Right? Let's move on to the agenda. And then these are a few success stories about you can read about us on GMAT Club. I don't want to post too much about us. I'm sure you can do that in your own time. And I just want to get started with the agenda today. So the first point, before we talk about self-assessment, I just want to launch a quick poll to understand how many of you have basically basically taken a diagnostic, right? So just launching this poll to better understand what kind of audience I'm talking to and what kind of diagnostics you've taken, right? So we've got 8 people, 9 people, 2 people haven't taken diagnostics. Great, I've got all responses. So here are the results. I'm going to share these results with you. We have 9 people who've taken a diagnostic and 2 people who haven't. So that's a very interesting stat, and I'll talk about that a little later. Um, Now, why is it important to take a diagnostic and why is it not? We'll get into that. But for those of you who haven't, this session is for you, right? This session is crucial for you to understand why it is important to take a diagnostic. So, two more things. One is that uh, once you've taken a diagnostic, it's very important to understand which diagnostic is important and which diagnostic gives you the right score, right? So I'm just going to quickly launch another poll to basically, I'm sharing the results of the last poll. Sorry, I haven't shared them. I'll relaunch a new poll now for you guys. Now this is to basically understand why what kind of mocks are there in the market right now, and why we tell people to take whatever mocks we do for a diagnostic. So just let me know which mocks you've given till now, which will really give me a better understanding of where you're coming from and where you want to go. All right, so most of you have taken GMAT prep mocks. That's good. Manhattan, Experts Global, and Sigma. So what's very, so let me just end the poll and share the results for this. I hope you can see this now. So let me explain this a little bit to you. Only one of you, one out of the 12 of you here, have taken a Sigma X mock. Now I'll talk about that a little, but most of you have taken a GMAT prep mock because that's what is said, right? If you're starting a prep, take a GMAT prep diagnostic and see what your problem areas are. And two of you have taken a Manhattan and Experts Global. Now that we've understood that, let's talk about the first step. What is the first step? Of really self-assessment. Self-assessment is all about taking that diagnostic and is understanding what my strengths and weaknesses are. And we're going to talk about this at length as well. So moving on from this first step, I would teach you the methodology of learning. How is it that you learn? And I want to teach you the e-GMAT way so that you take you take more than you should from this webinar. It's a way of learning. It's a way of understanding things, and it can extend to your learning even after e-GMAT, right? And then we're going to discuss a few case studies. So there's two very interesting case studies to keep you gripped and to really show you why a diagnostic is important and why this method of learning is so important. So there's one success story, one failure, and you'll see that for yourself. And then there's the most fun bit where I get the most fun questions from everybody. And this is the part I love the most, is where you can ask us anything. So you need to understand that it's very rare that you would get the opportunity to actually talk to strategy experts because we don't do calls with students. And this is the right time to ask questions. All right. So moving on to the next slide. Uh, the reasons for success are manifold, right? But the first thing that we saw in 700 scorers was they accepted the issues that they had in their learning or in the diagnostics they had. So there's two ways of looking at a diagnostic. One is that, oh my God, I scored really badly. This is absolutely false. I'm not going to agree with it. I can do way better than this. And they start off the wrong way. Another way is that, okay, I'm just starting. I'm literally just starting. Why should I assume anything? Let me just start from scratch, do things the right way, trust the process, and then get to the goals. Now, which kind of person do you want to be? Person one or person two? So you can probably just drop a message in the chat and let me know. I would like this. I hopefully would find the right answer here. Um, do let me know, person one or person two. Okay, so Priyanka says person two, Anukriti says person two, Vilas says person. Perfect. I'm glad that you guys are thinking person two. I mean, because person two is the one that's going to make an informed choice even on the exam. All right. So why is it that we say take a Sigma X form? Now let me ask you this question. Okay. For those of you who took the GMAT prep mocks or the Manhattan mocks or the Veritas mocks or the experts global mocks. In any of those mocks, did you see a subsectional ability scores? So you can just answer in a quick yes or no. I just want to know this information, nothing else. If you remember that. I mean, okay, Manu says no. Okay, I got a lot of. So Abhinav says yes. Okay, we'll discuss this later, but most of you are saying that. Okay, so let me just discuss what subsectional ability scores are. So, for example, in SC, you scored out of 51 as well, just like you scored in verbal out of 51. Now, on these tests, do you really get to know what percentile you are for each subsection, along with the amount of time that you're taking for the right question and the wrong question, and the kind of inputs that you get from a normal sigma x mark? This is just normal indicators, right? This is what the sigma x mark tells you. But we also tell you the optimal time to solve the question. So now that you know this, and that you know that a sigma x mark has the ability to tell you your subsectional percentile scores, which mark will you take? Would it be a GMAT prep mark, or would it be a sigma x mark? I think the decision, it's rhetorical, so the decision is quite easy, right? It's going to be a sigma x mark because it gives you so much of data, but most importantly, it gives you subsectional level ability scores. It tells you, okay, this is weak, or this is strong. That's extremely important when you're studying that. Sorry. Okay, first step to your dream score. Once you've taken the Sigma X mock, it's really important to understand what you do with the score, where you plug it in, what does it look like, how much time do you need to prepare. Okay, fun fact time. Oh, just give me a sec. Sorry. Fun fact time. A student starting at a starting score of 600 usually takes about 55 to 65 days to reach their target score of 700 plus. Now, this is assuming everything, right? This is anecdotally speaking. Whereas a student starting with a starting score of something like 450 can take even up to like 4 months or 5 months. Now, why is this so? And why is it that these students are so different? Because their rates of learning are different. And to really understand it is why we've created a personalized study plan. Everybody learns at a different rate, right? And that's exactly why we tell you, go and input your starting score. The starting score will have your subsection percentiles. That will tell you how much time you'll actually take. And the beauty is, a lot of people, and this is if you really, really study for the amount of time that you plug in here, find that the GMAT date is pretty much within a week of what they input into the PSP. And the best way of using the PSP is literally printing it out and making like a daily schedule out of it. All right. And the last bit here, following the three stages of learning approach. So if one would ask me that, okay, Dhananjay, what are the three things that you would do to succeed? I'll say, okay, I'm starting today. I'll take a diagnostic. The second thing is I'll create a plan. Now it can be a personalized study plan or whatever, but I'll create a plan. Right? I need to know where to go. And the last thing is I need to follow a certain approach. This may be XYZ approach or whatever approach, but these are your ingredients for success. These three things here are the things that will set you apart from your competition, people who are attending this webinar in itself. All right. Now, I promised you that I will tell you about a new way to learn. And this is not rocket science, frankly. Right? It's just something that we have ideated in the sense that we have broken up how a good student learns, and we figured out the right stages at which they learn the way they do. Okay. So we have three stages. Before I get into this, I must ask you another question. So I just wanted to know how many of you know about the three stages of learning. Just let me know so that then I can set context accordingly. So one person does. I'm sure I can get more answers for this. Okay, three people have answered. One of you, two of you don't know. Okay, interesting. Okay, 71% of you know. Eight polls. Okay, fair enough. I'll end the poll now. Let me share the results with you as well. All right. So as you can see, three people over here don't know, and five of you do know. I'm very happy for the five of you, because this is a way to. I mean, knowing this is half the battle won. For people who don't know, let me just let me just tell you what it is. All right. So stage one is where is where you basically go through the concept files, the application files, the practice files. All of those files, those video files that you see on the course, that's basically stage one. But what is stage one essentially? Stage one essentially is the place where you figure out that if this was my weakness, for example, I'm starting with SC, stage one. If SC is my weakness, what in SC is really my weakness? For example, is it verb tenses? Is it comparisons? Is it certain kinds of questions and comparisons? Because these quizzes not just give you information on how you're doing in the quiz or just a rating, but they tell you this is what you need to look at time and again, right? So to build a strong foundation, you need to reinforce things again and again and again and fill in those holes in your learning with with these different chunks of cement where you kind of go back to the concept file, go back to the application file, do it again. And when I say do it again, there's a very interesting thing. A student, like most students, say that when I go again, I just look at the question and it's the same thing. Essentially, I just mark the option. But that's not what you're supposed to do, right? Ideally speaking, you're supposed to go back to the question and see this is what I didn't do last time. I've learned this from last time, and let me do it the right way and see how that works out. Now that is learning, and that is what stage one is. And we're going to get into the more specific details of stage one, but that's what stage one is. Stage two is where you actually move into scholaranium, and this is where onboarding session two really takes over and tells you how to use scholaranium and the kind of powerful tool it is. And finally, last but not least, test readiness. So a lot of students do stage one, stage two well, and by the time they get to stage three, they're tired, they're fatigued, and they tend to skip it, thinking, I've done these two stages, it's great. So let me give you an example over here, right? Can a car run without tires? No, right? That's absolutely not possible. That's stage one for you, right? Can a car run without an engine? No, right? So that's stage two for you. Scholaranium. That's your engine. That's your engine to success. And finally, uh, can you reach your destination without knowing how to drive and having done it before? I mean, no, right? That's again rhetorical, but that's test readiness. I just want you to relate to these stages like that because again, not rocket science, something you guys already know, but I just wanted you to reinforce this with the right example, right? So what is stage one essentially? Like I said, you learn the concepts here, but this is the step where most people kind of go wrong. I'm going to run a poll for this with you guys. Let me just launch this poll. Give me a second. Yeah, this is a very interesting poll, and I'm kind of split on this as well because I'm old school that way. I like making handwritten notes. I don't know how many of you make digital notes. I would love to know. It's very interesting information. Okay, so most of you, this is a great poll result to show. All right, most of you don't make digital notes. Okay, so you're all old school like me, except for the one person. Now let me talk about my experience. I've come to realize that, especially in today's day and age when there's COVID and you're sitting at home and on your laptop all the time, what is most accessible to you at all times? Something that's digital, right? Something that stays with you. So let me give you a very nice example. A student of mine wanted to revise their tenses notes that they made 4 months back, 10 minutes before the test, before they walked into the center. Now tell me, would it be possible to carry your handwritten notes everywhere you go? Are they mobile? You can reply in the chat section here. Okay, I'm waiting. Are your handwritten notes mobile? Can they walk? Can they talk to you? No, right? I mean, again, it's something that's very thanks for replying, guys. So yeah, I mean, the problem with handwritten notes are they're not mobile, and given that they're not mobile, you can't really access them at all times. So my opinion is this. I know that you're used to making handwritten notes, but try to reinforce this with digital notes. And basically, I think Archit is gonna share a link with all of you guys, where one of our older students has made notes like this. So Archit, can you just paste the link for Sharon's notes in the chat box for everybody to see, so that they can genuinely have a look at what digital notes look like, because it's a massive shift from what you guys are doing, but look at how interesting and how customizable it can be. Okay, let's wait for Archer to share it. Till then I'll carry on with my presentation. Just open this link, guys. Open this link, and you'll basically see the digital notes. So you can download this at any given point of time. They're very useful as well. So have a look at them, and see why I'm making a case for digital notes. The next bit. Now, this is the bit that I spoke a little bit about, where you're doing the practice quizzes, and we tell you that please score at least 80%, 90%, and you must be questioning us why. Now, in a concept file, an application file, or a practice file, has questions that test your weaknesses. Now, if you're getting anything lesser than this, it basically means that you have a sizable amount of weaknesses in that particular topic. That's true, right? Now, if you carry on and don't learn from this the way I taught you to learn, by going back, figuring out what went wrong, you're going to go ahead and move to the next module with the same weakness that you came with, right? And that's a problem. And that genuinely is something that you're going to look back upon and feel that, oh my God, I think I should have done that. So what happens in most cases is that people move on to stage 2 and stage 3 without doing this right, and they have to come back to this, do this all over again, which is painful, which is something very few people can do. And it's frankly it's something that you would not want. I apologize for the light. It's really been bothering today. Please ignore that. You don't need to look at my face. But my point to you is this: that scoring well on this file in your first attempt, mind you, in your first attempt, is something that tells us whether you have a conceptual gap or not. All right. Now, before I get to this next bit, let me just roll back. I think I gave you the answer for anybody who's watching. Just 1 second. Sorry, I've lost on hold. Just give me a second. Yeah. So I want to know, how many times do you guys revise? Do you revise once in every 2 to 3 days, uh, every 2 weeks, every month, or I mean, there's a very interesting option I added there too. It says that I'm too cool for revision, and one person has kind of marked that as well. So very interesting, guys. So let me share the poll results with you. Um, okay, so this is interesting. For I'm going to discuss this option for a bit, and I put that on purpose. But none of you, as I see, revise very frequently, right? And this is something that's extremely important. I'll tell you why more than anything else. So why revision is important is that it is a very scientific thing. The human mind can only retain a certain amount of information for 48 to 72 hours. This is scientific, not something that I'm making up personally. So on the fourth day, if you study modifiers, for example, there are a bunch of rules about how verb ed modifiers or verb ing modifiers can modify a statement. I doubt it that you will remember the examples associated to it and the rules, and would be able to apply it on a fourth day. So it becomes extremely crucial for your brain to create a sort of a backup, right? So right now we have the cloud. So Zoom has the cloud. Consider this your own backup, your own cloud, and like your phones, for example, the iPhone. It's backed up every 2 or 3 days, right? And that's something that uh, you know, helps you access your very important information um, at any given point of time. So, my advice to you is this, and this is a crucial part of stage 1. Revise every 2 or 3 days. Definitely do this. And I kid you not. you will see a marked change in the way you're going about doing things and the way you're succeeding in the next few stages or even in stage one. This is a game changer. Revision is a game changer. In fact, there can be a separate session on it. All right. Now, moving to the part of creating your own plan, right? So I want to ask you a question now. Now that you have all of this information, right? So let's say a student has gotten 57th percentile. They've gotten 57th percentile in CR, for example. What stage would they be in? You can probably post your answers in the chat board again. If they've gotten 57th percentile in CR, what stage are they in? Now that you have all of this information, I think you should be able to tell. Okay, Abhinav says stage one. Priyanka says stage one, two. Okay, okay. Vilas, what about all of you other guys? Okay, Anukriti says depends on their target. Very nice. I think that's a very interesting observation. Right. I first want to answer Anukriti's answer. Depends on their target. Actually, it really doesn't, right? So your starting score will always stay fixed. It's a fixed vector, and your target score again is a fixed vector. So let me take an example of this again. So I'm sure that you've used Google Maps. If you plug in a location of where you are versus where you want to go, right? Whatever happens in between, which is the three stages of learning, stage two, stage three, is something that is determined, is predetermined, right? But what is the fixed variable here? The fixed variable here is your starting score. And that's key here. Your starting score is fixed, which is why we can fix a stage to your starting score, because that's your ability, right? So most of you answered correctly. If you basically have anything less than anything less than 65th percentile, you're in stage one, which is where you start building up concepts from. And then if you have anything above 65th percentile, you're in stage two. Okay, a fun question for you again. If you're above 90th percentile in your diagnostic, will you go through stage two? Yes or no? This is a very, very interesting question. A lot of people actually won't know the answer to this. Okay, Manu says yes. Yes. Okay, Priyanka says yes. Last says yes. Okay. Right, so you guys are right. Okay, I kind of made a fool out of myself on this one. You're absolutely correct. Even if you're above 90th percentile, you have to go through stage two. Don't skip to stage three. Stage three is uber difficult at times, and jumping into that can be really, really harsh. So good job, guys. Moving on to the next bit of creating your own study plan. Now, we have a profile here, student A's profile. Uh, Now, sentence correction, you can see these are the ability scores, right? Now, I want to know from you guys, what is the right order for student A to study? Should he do SC first, CR first, RC first? And what stage should he start from? So take a minute or two. I know this will take a while. Just take some time and tell me what is the right way to study, because what we're trying to do with the session again here is we're not trying to preach to you. We are empowering you to learn and make your own plan. So please tell me what is the right order in which they should go about doing things. Wait for your answers. Okay. Manu says SC stage 1, CR stage 1, RC stage 1. Priyanka said CR stage 2, SC stage 1, RC stage 1. Okay. Anyone else, guys? We'll wait for one more answer and then I'm gonna do the big reveal. Okay. I got it. Anukriti again is got it again. Whatever suits him or her. Okay, Anukriti. The answer is not whatever suits him or her. There's a clear path through which you need to go through. And now This is actually a trick question. I put this in place on purpose. You need to actually do master comprehension first. Master comprehension is a really, really nice course, which really is the gateway to sentence correction, critical reasoning, and reading comprehension. So it was a trick question. And yes, there is a right order to doing things. We always tell students to start off with master comprehension, then move to sentence correction, then do critical reasoning, and then do reading comprehension, right? So here is, and you'll see this. This is how it is. So this was the element that you guys were missing, and this is how you would go about doing it. So you'll do stage one, stage two, and then as you can see over here, this the student is in stage two for CR. So you can skip stage one for CR, and then you go to SC and CR stage three. So let me explain to you why is it this way? Why is it no other way? And what is the gap here? What is the gap here that you'll forget? So you'll complete stage two, you'll cement your concepts, you'll do scholaranium quizzes. However, once you move to CR, you may feel that, okay, I'm forgetting things, right? I'm forgetting SE, I'm forgetting the rules. But now let me take you back to the word called revision. You have to keep revising every 2 or 3 days. This is a given, right? And this is a gap in itself. So make sure that you're revising SE while you're doing stage two, so that when you do SC plus AR stage 3, which is the test readiness bit, you're primed to do well, right? You're going to do well here. And similarly, once you start RC, revise SC, revise CR, so that you're primed to really succeed over here. So this is something that's extremely crucial when it comes to learning. And this is exactly what this slide is for. It's that after doing a stage, and this is even between the stages itself, so at the micro level, at the Cosmo level, you need to revise and revise day in and day out. And when I say revise, don't just go look at it and say, okay, I'm done. Go back, read the rule, see its application, and see if you remember it. That's what retention is, right? All right, so we're going to get to a few case studies. And I'm sure that you guys are really, really going to enjoy these case studies. So you have Mansi and Akshay here, and I'm going to take you through their student accounts. But before that, I'm just going to give you a few key data points so that you understand, so that there's context for you. In Mansi's case, she took a diagnostic. She scored a 630. All right, and in after taking a diagnostic, she created a PSP, and it's just basically we want to tell you that the stage-wise approach is followed. So again, let me take you back to the three things we began with. Mansi took a diagnostic. Mansi had a plan. Mansi followed the three stages of learning. One, two, three. All ticks. All right. And there's a key element here. She accepted all of these things, and she accepted her weakness as well. So she accepted that SC and CR were problematic for her, whatever it may be, problematic for her, and she knew that she could do well in RC. So I'm going to basically take you to her account and take you through the entire gambit of you know how Mansi went about doing it. So first thing, has she done master comprehension? Yes, obviously she's done it, and she's done it well at that, right? And this is a student who's gotten a 620. You may feel that I'm already up there, but you still need to do it. Now, sentence correction. So a few key data points here again. The scores kind of speak for themselves, but look at the amount of time that she spent on these modules. She's done it once. This is her first attempt, the max to max second attempt, right, in her revision. So she's not spent a lot of time here, but she's perfected everything she's done. Look at the number of hundreds she's got. She's genuinely spent time, and this is true for CR as well, because she knew this was kind of her weakness, right? And then she's kind of gone about doing that in the right manner. Now let me take you to stage two and show you that she did cementing well, and we're going to see her Sigma X mark as well. So this is where she took the diagnostic, and this is what she scored towards the end, right? And in between, I want to show you how she did her cementing. Now, very, very structured. Cementing quizzes taken, did well on the cementing quizzes. So all in all, what am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say that Mansi did all the right things. She did everything right to ensure that she succeeded. And that's exactly something that I want you guys to follow as well. Three things. Let me reiterate. She took a diagnostic. She followed the stage-wise approach with MC to begin with, and finally, she ensured that she had a plan to connect both of these things. Always have a plan. Don't go into battle without one. So, what do you think would have happened? She would have succeeded, obviously. And then the mentor was working with Mansi was Ashutosh at the time, and he can probably testify to the fact that it's a big deal to get a V44 and a 716. A lot of you sitting over here would want the score or die for it as well, right? So to start off with, she was very weak in verbal. She could have done two things and said, I don't believe the diagnostic. I'm now weak at verbal. I don't want to improve. Or she said, never mind. I accept what I have, and I'm going to work with it. And she ultimately ended up with a V44. Now, to get a V44, you need to understand that you need to do really, really well in SC and CR. So this is above 90th percentile. Now let's talk about Akshay. So Akshay's case is this is the context. He didn't take a diagnostic. The stage-wise approach was not followed, and Akshay didn't have a plan, right? And I can, go through his account for you as well to show you what the issue was. So let's look at the few parameters, right, that we're looking at. So he's gone through master comprehension, did a good job of it. Let's look at his scores now. So Akshay spent the same amount of time and then he's gotten 90% in most of their files. So he's done stage one. He's done the right thing. But let's see if he's taken a diagnostic. Right. So no diagnostics taken. So he started off, but he didn't know where to go. That's very, very important and that's key here. Now the next question is, did he do cementing right? And by the way, he exhausted all of his questions and still couldn't score well. So if you notice, all of his quizzes are very haphazard here. They're random questions, random percentages why he's not doing well. So again, that's the stage-wise approach not being followed. All right. And since he didn't take the diagnostic, we can't talk about his scores. Now, what was the result of it? Well, he failed multiple times and eventually ended up with a V24 and a Q47. So you guys might be wondering that I saw that he did a stage one really well. So what was missing? Okay, Dhananjay said that he didn't take a diagnostic. Fair enough. What if we eliminate that? So the most important factor here you're forgetting is after stage one came stage two and stage three, which is what he kind of failed at, right? So you can't really pick up one element of this ideology. You kind of need to pick up all of it, and that's how it goes. All right. So I'm just going to end up with a quote that I want you guys to see, and this is a marathon runner. So obviously she's taking the right decisions, and then she believes so too as well. So now we will begin with this, but before we begin with this, I have a surprise for all of you. Arshit, can you share the link for the quiz, the pop quiz that we have? I think Arshit has shared. One second, let me share that with all of you guys. Yeah, I think this is the link that will take you to the pop quiz. I want you guys to fill this quiz, and we're going to discuss the answers in 5 minutes, and then we're going to do the Q&A while you give us feedback. So just quickly fill this out so that I can have a look at it, and then we can discuss the answers as well. So the idea of doing this is to really understand if you're taking away the right thing from the session. And that's exactly what I wanted to look at. So just going to stop sharing now. I'm going to quickly have a look at your results. So guys, quickly start filling the form. The pop is just, it's a quick fill. And it really will be helpful to get your inputs. It'll take you about a minute or two, so I'll just wait for you. Till then, if any of you have any questions, I would love to take them up. And thank you for being patient with me, Donna. This is frankly really, it's really nice of you. Okay, so let's look at, I've got 2 responses, so I guess all of you are filling it. 3 responses now, 4 responses. Guys, ask questions till then. Make sure that you're using your time as productively as possible. Okay, so fun facts, the quiz is actually out of it's out of 21 points. So that's a very interesting metric. And the average scoring till now is 16. So not bad actually. Really, really nice. Good to see. Um, And once you've kind of filled in the pop quiz, please do fill in the feedback form as well whenever you have the time. It kind of helps us build a better onboarding one session so that we really understand what you guys need, what you guys want. So whoever wants to ask a question till then can unmute themselves and go ahead and ask the question. I've pasted the link for the feedback form as well, so I'd really appreciate if all of you fill it. And so I've got 7 responses. Just waiting for one or two of you more to fill it, and I would be happy. Oh, I'll show 7 responses only. It's fine. Fair number. All right. So we're not going to talk about the email IDs because it's anonymous. The scoring is pretty decent. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about. So now we have 8 responses. What is the most effective indicator to measure starting ability? This is what we've been talking about all the way. I'm glad all of you have gotten this right. Like 5 of you have gotten this right. And then they say that GMAT and Sigma X mock taken in last month. So now let me tell you the problem with the GMAT exam in itself and why that option is not right or the prep mock is not right. And I think I missed that out in the first bit. Is that when you take the GMAT and you're spending a good $270 now for it, the GMAT in itself does just gives you a score split. It doesn't give you that kind of analysis that a Sigma X mock. Now you would say that you know what an ESR gives me that, and I would absolutely agree with you there. But do you want to spend $300 on the GMAT and an ESR to basically get an understanding of where your ability is, or do you want to do it for free? And I think obviously you're going to choose the free option. So the answer here is take a Sigma X mark. That was the whole point. Um, and even a GMAT taken within the last month. But again, it's only if it comes with the ESR, right? Now, the next thing is, does the PSP indicate what stage of learning you're in? Yes, obviously it does. So if you do go and look at the PSP, and let me just show you the PSP as well for these students if it's still here. So if you go here and you look at your PSP and you view your plan, I'll just show you where you can see the stages, right? So okay, so this is where you see the stages of learning. It's given here. And now, Anukriti, to answer your question then, no, it doesn't depend really on the target score because I have the starting score input, right? And if you click on the play button here, it also tells you how to do how to do stage 2, how to do stage 3. So the PSP pretty much has everything in it. Okay. Now you scored 79 percentile in RC. So 3 of you have written RC stage 1. Very interesting. We'll discuss this at length. But like I mentioned very clearly, anything below 65th percentile is stage 1. Anything greater than 65th percentile is, is stage 2. All right. Same thing over here. I think one of you has gotten it wrong, and that's fair because there's that greater than equal to thing. So that's fair enough. If it's 65th percentile, go for stage 1. It's not going to be stage 2. So this is again a trick question. Yeah. So I think I'm very, very happy to see this result. All of you have said, no, I can't move on if I don't do well in the practice quiz. So I'm glad you've taken that away. And that's a very important thing as well. All right, so I think this is a question that most of you would not have the answer to, and I don't expect you to as well, because frankly, it's not something that you should have known. Cementing quizzes are taken in stage 2, only in stage 2, not in stage 3, right? So this was basically the quiz results. Would really appreciate if you guys can fill in the feedback form too, and please go ahead and ask me whatever questions you have. Would really appreciate it. And please be honest, be brutally honest. I would really appreciate that too.
Hi, Dhananjay.
Hi.
Priyanka this side. First of all, thank you for the great session. It was very informative. And so I had a question. So let me give you the context. So I have given GMAT twice before, and in the last attempt, I got a score of 710, and I am aiming for 760. But right now, so my preparation is something that's very uncertain. So one day I will prepare because I'm preparing along with my job, which is very taxing. So one day I might prepare for 2 3 hours, and then I might continue it for weeks. And then there's a lag in between when there's a heavy project that comes in for my work. So what should be my ideal step of preparation? What stage should I start again with when I have to resume my preparations? And then again, it's like basically starting from scratch whenever there's a gap that comes in between. So what should be the ideal plan for me?
Excellent question, actually. Now, there's something that I would face at all given points of time. So, really, really smart question. Thank you. So, here's the right approach, right? Now, if you have if you have a heavy workload, or if you're working in a really, really tiring job, you need to decide that okay, I can give 20 hours a week to my studies, and I'm going to give it. Now, for example, if you're in stage two, if you're in 710, you're definitely in stage two for pretty much all of your subsections. You need to ensure that there's continuity in what you're doing. So, for example, if you take a cementing quiz, make sure that you do the strategic review right after it itself. And let's say the next day you have a lot of work to do, make sure that you just revise what you did the day before. So there's going to be certain heavy load days versus light load days, right? Just make sure that you're consistent with your studies and that continuity is maintained so that just like you said, you don't want to start back from scratch. And that's precisely what's going to happen if you kind of take a break in your learning. Never do that. Always revise every single day. Give an hour a day. Doesn't matter. Make time because if the GMAT is that important, I'm sure you'll make time.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Does anyone else want to ask any more questions? Um, I'm sure you have some. No one? Oh, then we can end the session. I think Vilas is unmuted himself. Vilas, you have a question?
Yeah, just a question. When do you recommend taking the mock tests, and how many do you recommend taking per week?
Perfect. Really good question. Mock tests are taken after stage three of your learning. So once your test ready is when you can actually take a mock. Makes sense, right? And then to answer the next step of your question, never take more than two mocks in a week. The reason I say this is multifold. The first thing is that if you take more than that, you won't really get time to learn from your mistakes in the mock. We call it course correction. So when you complete a mock, so that's somewhere around 66 questions that you've done. You need to ensure that you review each and every one of them. So if a mock actually takes 2.5 hours, the review takes double the time, right? And that leads to an outcome, a singular outcome where you understand, all right, this is my weakness, this is my strength. Now I need to fix it. And the fix in itself, 2 or 3 days, right? And that's why you evaluate, all right, now I fixed this. I can go and take a mock again, right? So that is something that you need to understand, which is why I say that take two mocks in a week, take mocks only when you're test ready. So only when test readiness is complete is when you should be taking mocks. And this cannot be a function of when your GMAT, right? So it has to be a function of what stage of learning you are in, right? So a really, really good question. And a lot of people actually make this mistake, and which is why I wanted to talk about this little as
Okay, got it. Makes sense.
Hey DJ, Priyanka here.
Oh, there's
This is
another
not the yeah.
Priyanka.
This
Okay.
is yeah. So I actually I had taken my GMAT recently, but I'm not aware of my subsectional abilities. I perform very bad, I would say. It's like I'm in stage 1 of everything, to be very frank. Okay. I just want to know from you, how do I sequence my studies? Like, because there are 2 in quants and 3 sections in verbal. Like you said, I should first, complete the master comprehension. But could you please suggest me, like, how do I, sequence my quants in between? Like, uh, so that's something I wanted to know.
Got it. Again, a really, really good question, Priyanka. Now, there's two things here. Now, this is a factor of how many hours you can put into study every day. How many hours can you put into study every day or on a weekly basis as well?
Mhm.
So, question is, I'm asking you, how many hours can
Okay. So actually, I haven't started my preparation yet, but I can give like 2 hours
Got it,
a
got
day
it.
during my weekdays, and maybe 5 to 6 hours during the weekends.
Right, so 20 hours a week. Now, the problem with a 20-hour study week is that if you try to do verbal and quant together, the concept and process skills that you learn in verbal are very, very different from the ones you learn in quant. So,
Mhm.
trying to do them together is actually going to create, I would say, a conflict of interest and a
Okay.
mixed result in your head. So, for example, let me give you this for an example. You start off with SC, right? And then you try to do number properties side by side. Now,
Mhm.
on the third day, when you revise, would you be revising SC or would you be revising number properties? Because both of them have different process skills, both of them will have different error logs, ways of strategically reviewing questions as well, right?
Mhm.
So, that jumble in your head within those 2 hours on that weekday is a lot for the brain to take, right? So, which is why we tell students with 20-hour work weeks, where people are genuinely busy, do one section at a time. If you're doing verbal now, do it properly. Give all of your time there, right? And then if you can give about 30 plus hours a week, then do verbal and quant together. Otherwise, don't. I mean,
Okay.
it's really difficult to retain that kind of information.
Okay. So you would suggest that I should first complete the quants like thoroughly, and then start with verbal, because then I'll be able to retain verbal to a good extent. Like, I'm very bad at verbal. So
Hmm. Fair enough. I think that's a really, really good idea as well.
okay.
I think do one thing at a time, do quad first, and then always do the thing at the end that you think you may forget faster. So
Okay. Sure.
that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So, like a couple of more questions
Yeah.
for you. Um, so the second one was like, I have created a PSP, but I want to understand if it accommodates the revision time, and if it accommodates the time, where you want to revise the things from the master comprehension or from the concept videos, or does it also take into account the time after your preparation is done, and when you're test ready, like how long does it give you between that,
Hmm.
you know?
Fantastic question. That's a really good question, and I think that's brought out feedback for us as well. Whenever you plug in the number of hours into the PSP, always remember those are the number of hours you strictly study on the platform. So opening video files, viewing them, making notes, all of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I plugged in 5 hours of study on the platform, I will actually need to do 1.5 hours of revision afterwards as well. Now, that is not counted in the PSP, right? And that's
Mm-hmm.
something that we're trying to incorporate. The second bit is the PSP doesn't really have a timeline for the number of days you need to take mocks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it will give you a timeline till stage 3, yes, but from stage 3 to your GMAT and the mocks in between is something that it doesn't give. So the answer to that is that's something we can give you. Anecdotally speaking, if you've done stage 3 right and you've done everything right, ideally speaking,
Mm-hmm.
it should take between 15 to 20 days from the time that you've completed stage 3 to actually you giving the GMAT and doing mocks in between. Right? So
Okay.
you'll take maximum 3 mocks, course correction included. You should be
Okay. So the actual due date that is shown in PSP, I should count 15 more days for my actual GMAT exam, like,
So
right?
take a buffer, like and the PSP also does that. It kind of takes that 1
It
week
takes
buffer.
1 week. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
it takes 1 week.
So take another week of buffer. That's
Okay,
something that I would tell you.
okay. Yeah, that would be great. And another thing, you were about to share that, like how to create the digital notes. So if you could share the link.
Oh yeah, I'll just share the. I think Arshad will share the link again. Let me just share the link. 1 second. Hang on.
Mhm.
It must be here. 1 second. Let me post it. Just a second. Here you go. So I
Yeah,
posted for
thank you.
everybody. You just click on this. This is how you make digital notes. Now everybody makes it differently. But yeah, this is a really good set. Download it, see how to color code things, make things interesting for yourself as well, and make sure that it's accessible, that you can see it on your phone at any given point of time. And you can
Sure.
actually use these notes also. They're actually pretty good.
Thank you. And just one last one. I'm sorry to take a lot of time.
No, no.
Is there any way, that I know you guys are all busy, but is there a way to take appointment and call one of you, just
Yeah.
in
So
case, like,
yeah,
everything cannot be,
understood.
like, I would say.
I understand. I know that you have a lot of questions and you would want to reach out to someone that soon, but the strategy team doesn't do calls, which is why we want to reach out to students through these sessions. And we definitely are extremely active over email, and that's the kind of path we prefer. So please reach out to support at the GMAT if there's anything that you want to know, or go ahead and attend another onboarding session. We'd be happy to interact with you.
Okay, and how frequent these onboarding sessions would go?
We have two onboarding one sessions every week, one on Tuesday, one on Friday, and we have an onboarding two session that happens every Thursday. Right? So
Okay.
whenever you want to make time, just go ahead and attend one. You'll definitely take something new away every single time.
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Does anybody else have any more questions?
Just a quick question. Does the study plan include integrated reasoning as well?
No. So there's a specific reason for that too. Now, IR, if you see, and this is again very good question. A lot of people ask us this. IR should ideally take you about 4 to 5 hours after you've completed everything, because one, IR is mostly quant based, right? It's basically a synthesis of quant and a synthesis of data. It's accumulating that and figuring out what to do it with it in a quant fashion, right? So if you do the quant course, you should ideally be IR ready. But why does it take 4 to 5 hours? And I would tell you to do this 2 3 days before the test only. Just go have a look at the kind of questions that you see. So it should not be that you're looking at it at the first time and it kind of hits you, right? That's all you have to do. And your quant skills will kind of kick in, which is why we don't have that part of the plan as well, because it's quite a negligible element. And it also doesn't count to the GMAT score. That's a very important piece of information.
Okay, thanks.
Or anybody else, any more questions? We'll be very, very happy to answer. All right. So we're going to close out the session. Thank you so much for attending. I really appreciate it. Happy Friday night. Stay safe. Stay well. Thank you so much.